Welcome back to Apple Tree Allotment. Down here on Sunday evening. It's before tea time. Now the sun's gone in a little bit. We'll come down and do some watering. And we've got a few things to plant and sow today. Starting to get things out in the plot. We've got some seeds and some plants I've been growing at home. So I've got some courgette plants. So these are just the green ones I planted before. I've planted 2 at home in one of our beds, and I'm going to plant out another 2 in the bed at the probably at the back here. And what I'm going to do is plant, when I go home, I'm going to go and sow another 4 just in case they get got by the frost or anything like that where they don't grow. And I still have 2 more there as well. So I'm going to get some out, let them get growing. Temperatures at night time are supposed to be above 10 degrees Celsius pretty much all the time now. There's a couple of nights where it dips down to 9 or 8, but I think they'll be okay. So yeah, we're going to get those in the ground, and if they die off, then I've got some more, and I can sow some more anyway. That'll be ready to go out in a few weeks, 2-3 weeks anyway. So still in plenty of time. The other thing I'm going to do is plant out or sow some of these dwarf French beans. I'm going to plant those out into the Three Sisters bed at the back. So I'm not going to do them climbing up the sweet corn this year. I brought down some canes. I found some shorter canes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a row either along here somewhere or along the end. I'm just going to do a row of them, so we'll have rows of sweet corn and then a row of beans. And I'm going to start off at home with some green beans. So I'll start them off now, and then given a couple of weeks they'll be ready to go out. So we've got the courgettes and beans to go out. I've got one of the kids down here. So in her bed, she's going to sow some beetroot, a line of beetroot and a line of carrot. And then the other thing I just brought down a few things that I've got ready. But one of the other things I'm probably going to do is plant out some of these pumpkin seeds. So I've got these fun seed packets. So Halloween head pumpkins. So I'm just going to sow them directly in the sunflower bed. So this big bed here, a couple of weeks ago we made this and sowed a lot of sunflowers. They were all seeds I'd saved from the flowers we grew last year. So we've got hundreds of the seeds. So I scattered a lot in here. Some of them are starting to come up, which is good to see. So we've got a few that are coming up. So hopefully by next week there'll be a lot more. We've got a bed again at home with them in the same bed we used last year because they look really good at home. So they're already up, probably about 10 centimetres or so. I planted them a bit earlier. So so hopefully we'll get a good display this year. So that's probably all we'll get done today. We'll get them out, and then another week at home I've also got some different squash, some round squash, Lebanese squash, a few different sorts. So what I'm going to do is probably put one of each type in these beds. I might put 3 in these beds. So we'll fill those up next week or the week after. See how the weather does. So that's all the sowing we've got to do. I brought down some grass clippings. I've mowed the lawn this morning, so I put some on the potatoes we've got at home, and I brought those down, so I'll put them on some of the potatoes here. And then I brought down a box of homemade compost as well, so I might put around some of the potatoes. First thing I'm going to plant out is these green courgette plants. So what I'm going to do is mix in, I've got this compost. We had one of those Dalek shaped compost heaps at home. I've emptied that out and brought it all down here and used a bit at home actually as well. So I'm just going to use some of this in the hole around it, just because this bed is filled with the soil improver from the council, so it's not the richest stuff in the world, and I know squash quite like really rich compost, so I'm going to mix out the sort of best bits of that compost and just sort of make a hole with that in and backfill with that, just so it's got a bit more nutrients and richness. Yeah, so we're going to get 2, I reckon, in this bed. Let them get quite big. So we'll plant sort of one there, one there. It's the first 2 squash of the season in the plot. So they've all gone in. We'll give them dug a big hole and put all of our homemade compost in. So hopefully they'll enjoy that. It should hold the water quite well as well. So I'll give them a really good watering tonight before we go and see how they get on. I've always got a few more in backups anyway, so we'll just see if we can get ahead a little bit. I've spread out more of my grass clippings over the first earlies, over my Marisbard. They're doing really well, these potatoes. They've been in a few weeks now, 3 weeks or something, 4 weeks. Yeah, they're looking good. I'll just spread those out. Hopefully that will keep the moisture in, keep them warm, and stop them going green when they do grow. Build the soil up a little bit as well. I've done this for, I think, 2 years in a row. This will be the 3rd, I think, and it's always worked really well. So I'll keep doing that, and obviously I've got a lot of beds of potatoes this year, but I'll make an extra effort to mow every week and bring a box down and try and cover either one of these big beds or 2 of the smaller ones each week. Next up, I've got these canes. Brought these from home today. And what I'm going to do is build a sort of teepee like I did for the peas last week, just along this end here. I think if I do it there, and then I can start planting the sweet corn just next to it and go across the bed. And at some point I'll have another teepee, maybe at the other end of the bed for green beans, or maybe they'll be later. I did think if the onions come out, they come out sort of August, July, August, maybe in these beds, maybe I'll put some in here as well, or if the first early potatoes come out quick enough, I'll get some in them beds. We eat quite a lot of green beans in our house, so more are always welcome, and I think they're quite easy to store as well, freeze or something. But yeah, so I'm going to get those canes put up, use some baling twine just to secure them together, and I'll sow a seed. I'll probably do 2 next to each post and see what comes up. I can always replant some more later if I need to. I've made my little teepee bean supports. So I've got 8 either side, so 16 poles going up, and I found another longer cane in the shed and just tied them together. And I've done 2 of these dwarf French beans per cane, so see what comes up. Can always pull one out if I need to, if they get too big. And I'm hoping, being on the end of this bed, this will have sweet corn and probably pumpkins in it, or butternut squash. So I'm hoping the vines will go underneath there as well, use that space. Hopefully the beans will be quite a way up the canes by the time the vines get growing. So yeah, they'll get plenty of room to explore through them. Yeah, so that's all the beans in. I'll give everything a good water later to really dry that bed, so we'll get that watered. Next thing I'm going to do in the sunflower bed, I'm going to plant out some of these, or sow some of these Halloween head pumpkins. So it says you can put them out in May and June, direct sow, and about 1 metre apart. So what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to put I might put 8 in, because I'm sure they won't all come up. So I'll probably put 2 like 4 lines of 2 in there. And I'm hoping, I've not tried this before, but I'm hoping the pumpkin vines will go out underneath the sunflowers. I mean, these will come up in 2 to 3 weeks, won't they? So by the time then, the sunflowers should be quite a way above them. And yeah, hopefully they'll grow under them nicely. And we'll get a good use of 2 uses of space. Bit of an experiment, but we'll see what happens. So I'm just going to get them in the ground. And I do have some other pumpkins at home in pots. So I've got some blue pumpkins, some I think pygmy pumpkins they're called. We grew them last year. There's about 3 or 4 different varieties I've got growing. So if these don't take off in the next couple of weeks, by the end of May, I'll plant some of them out as well as in the Three Sisters bed. But it's a bit of an experiment, get them going, and see how they do. Last couple of things we're going to sow tonight in the kids' bed that they're growing. So they've already got 3 lines of peas. Some are a couple of weeks old, so they've been eating the pea tops. We're just going to use these for the tops, really, for salads and just eating while we're down here, really. So we've already started nibbling on some of them. At the back here, I'm going to do, or the kids are going to do, a line of beetroot and a line of carrots. And these will be just for sort of eating down here, the carrots, just when they're little, probably. And then the beetroot, they take a lot longer, so we'll have them later on in the year. So we're just going to do a row each of those in there and mark those off. And we'll still have a bit more space in there, maybe some flowers or something another day. We've got those sown in the kids' bed. So all we've got to do tonight really is water. So I'll do that in a minute. Go around and give everything a good water. It's been quite really warm today, so I think it definitely needs it. The rest of the plot, it's quite amazing how much growth these autumn raspberries are putting on. Really pleased with how many canes are in here this year. I think it's bulking up quite a lot. Hopefully we'll get a good harvest out of them. And the strawberries are doing well. All got flowers on now, so it's all, hopefully we'll get some good crop out of these this year. I don't know how many will make it home. We might eat quite a few down here, but it's nice to have some. Garlic still doing really well. Some really nice larger ones in the back bed there. So yeah, hopefully another probably couple of months, isn't it? I think we'll have some good crop out of that. Onions are still going away. Again, still not growing very tall. But there's a few usable bits in there. So we'll see how they get going. I'm going to build up this bed with wood sides as a proper raised bed next year, I think. So once these onions are out, I might put something else in here at the end of the year. But we'll definitely be building that up later on. Shows you the squash that are in the courgettes. So I've just put this little netting over it, this little umbrella, just to stop anything nibbling it while they get established. I think last year I lost a couple when I first put them in, so hopefully that will deter whatever was eating those. And once they get a bit bigger, I'll put that on something else. Got our beans in. I'm looking forward to those popping up. We can get nice beans out of there. Over on plot 2, chard is really doing well. Some lovely colours in here. It's really nice. The sort of stems are really thickening up now. There's some really big chunky stems that we can use. So that's really good. Carrots in the next bed. The next row has come up now. So yeah, we've got a good 2 rows there. And there's another 2 rows that I sowed last week, I think. I just need to thin those out another day. I might thin out a few of those in a minute, just to give them plenty of room to grow. peas over here, doing well, all starting to latch on to the canes, so that's good to see. They're starting to climb up, and they've done well this week. I'm glad to see they're happy. Leeks growing away nicely, the older ones. No sign of the ones I sowed last week yet, but that'll be a week or two, I should think. And then the rest of this plot is all potatoes. So we've got over this side, these are Charlotte potatoes. I think they were second earlies, but they were ones I saved from last year, and I chitted them on the windowsill, and they're growing really well, so that worked well. I'm hoping this year to save all of our own seed potatoes for use next year, so that we don't have to buy any. That's the plan going forwards. Over this side we've got our main crops. So I think we've got 4 beds of main crop over here, and they're all coming up, all just above the ground. And these 2 over here are main crop as well, I think. And then our second earlies in these 4 beds, and they're looking good. I think we did them at the same time, but these ones at the front are slightly bigger. And then the ones we did first were the first earlies. So we planted these a few weeks ago, and then a week later we planted those ones. So yeah, they're doing really well. Really pleased with them. Coming on quite quickly. So hopefully in a couple of weeks they'll be pretty big. Starting to bush up. That's all looking good. Looking forward to lots of new potatoes. I'm planning to sort of leave them in the ground, but start harvesting them as we need them. And last year we had quite a lot of success just taking the tops off. Once they'd sort of gone brown and bent over, I cut the tops off and composted them, and then I just left them in the ground for a couple of months, and then took them as we needed them, and that worked quite well to store them. So I might try and do that again, but hopefully with this sort of more in here, we should be able to sort of have a constant supply from the first earlies forwards. I'm hoping there'll be about a year's worth of potatoes in there. There should be. We've got one bed at home as well of one the kids planted. It's called Rudolph. So yeah, hopefully we'll have a good supply of potatoes, and I'm hoping courgette and different squashes, pumpkins, will be about a year's supply as well. We froze a lot of courgette last year, and I think we've got 2 bags left, 2 meals left. So that lasted a really good time. And we didn't actually freeze as much as we could have. We sort of we couldn't eat a lot of it quick enough until we realised we could freeze it really easily. So yeah, hopefully we'll get better at that this year. So yeah, I think that's all for tonight. I'm just going to go around with the watering can and try and give everything a good soak for this sort of warmer week of weather we're going to have. I might need to pop down in a week as well, give it a water. We'll see what the weather does. So I hope you enjoyed having a look around the plot tonight. Seeing a few things going in now each week, a few seeds and plants going in. And I hope you're keeping well, and look forward to talking to you next week.